All right, so we are going to be going over this feature match. Also, congratulations to Dinkabui for winning the whole event, of course. It was very cool to see. So yeah, basically Branded got top 32 at the YCS, YCS Birmingham. YCS Birmingham was a top 64 YCS, if you were not familiar. So it was a pretty big top cut, which means the Branded player actually did make it through at least a round of top cut. And it's cool to see. This is Branded's first premier top since Branded Fusion went to 1. So this is definitely the largest event and like the best success, so it's definitely cool to see. And I would like to see, we're gonna look at this gameplay and see like what kind of techs he was on, and go from there. um if you're wondering where the deck list is, I did reach out to the player and attempted to try to get the deck list, but I believe that the player is going to be keeping the deck list under wraps. Um, so yeah, no, we're gonna just be going through the gameplay and seeing what he's on. We can make some pretty we can probably get about 80% of the deck list. The main idea, the main text, right? He's Branded at the end of the day is 99% figured out. So it's just playing with the text that you can see and not. Yeah, what did you guys think of that YCS though? Insane YCS. So yeah, no, it's cool to see that two YCSs in a row we're getting Branded feature matches. Also, it's cool to just see Fire King take it when in a meta full of Malice and Ryzeal. So he starts off High Spirits and then pitches the Shrouded and then goes for the Albion. So that's a pretty standard play. I'm kind of surprised he didn't start with the I'm kind of surprised he didn't start with going Shrouded and then doing like the trick shot where you chain the High Spirits. So it's kind of like in those kind of situations, maybe he already had another Shrouded Dragon in hand and he's just going to go use Shrouded Dragon again eventually down the combo line. So yeah, he did start Quem. So this is what I was talking about. When you go High Spirits pitch Albion, you always, that just like, you can tell you open the Quem. So because of the fact that you typically want to send the Titanclad off the High Spirits. So yeah, no, very standard. Also beautiful QCR Quem, or sorry, Starlight Quem, but the Quem gets impermed, which is interesting. There's probably not a better imperm point though, to be fair for Roy. Obviously he could wait for the Cartesia or the Lubellion, but also cutting off the Quem here stops the send, and also Quem has the second effect. Depends on the hand. Yeah, exactly. Yo, 70 people in the chat. Okay, so and we did get the Shrouded here, so we're gonna go Shrouded off the Albaz. I do just want to make sure he went for the High Spirits and then he searched off the okay, so he searched Quem on that. So that's just an interesting line. And then, so I was correct. He did just open another Shrouded. That's why, normally you would probably go use the Shrouded effect, then chain High Spirits if you only have one Shrouded in hand. But he's going to send the Albaz, which this helps insulate his combo line, because obviously when you go into the Branded Fusion, he is going to, I mean, this also projects to me he has either an Aluber or Branded Fusion in hand, whether it's like Branded Opening or something like that, because of the fact that you would normally send like the Branded Retribution to start setting up the like he could have gone Quem, send Retribution, then Shrouded, send Branded Fusion, but his hand was very gassy. And he's got, wait, that's super interesting. So he goes Nadir Servant. Okay, that's an interesting way to play that, to play out that hand. I mean, that makes sense. So then he goes Nadir, send the Garura, and this is going to be able to basically like accomplish his combo line. I'm just trying to think, because he could have gone for, well, he goes High Spirit, search Quem, and then he had the Shrouded. So yeah, that all makes sense, because if his Quem wasn't stopped, he probably would have went for the Branded Fusion line. but because it was, he did not, and he's gonna go for the Nadir. And Nadir is great. Nadir in the main deck is actually it was somewhat of a dubious prospect going into this format because of Mitsurugi Ryzeal, but now that it's kind of proven out that Mitsurugi Ryzeal isn't the best variant for Ryzeal yet, you know, it's probably the second or the third maybe behind Pure, but like, you know, because of that, I still think Nadir's fine. It does hurt against Dweller, but you know, I think he's gonna get a lot of real estate off this Nadir because Nadir, well, now he can go Maximus, and Maximus is gonna banish the Garura, and he already got the draw off the Garura, which really helps keep up Branded's card advantage. And then he's gonna, with already an Albion in the graveyard, he's sending Titanclad. There isn't really a third. Like, the third best send would be Lulu, but he obviously doesn't run the Lulu while Lilith here if he's sending the Rinbrum. Lulu while Lilith being a card that is very good with Nadir, and it's great for, like, Ultimate Slayer synergy, but, like, besides that, it's not really doing a whole lot here. He is going to get Desiree on the Quem, though, so I'm curious if we're going to see here fairly quickly if Basilis is on to Quem, because, like, he could obviously go Titanclad, send the other Quem, and he drew a fusion deployment off the Garura, or else he would have done this way before, right? And that's going to get Fuwalos, which, wow, that's like the latest Fuwalos I've ever seen in my life. That man had all restraint. So yeah, no, he's going to go into the Fuwalos. That Fuwalos is not going to be challenged, and it's going to give Roy a draw here. And that's going to go into the Cartesia. Where's my water? Of course, I didn't bring any water with me. And we see Basilis, you know, go through his graveyard. Interesting, I cut Nadir from the deck. Yeah, no, I think Nadir is great in a format with so many hand traps, so it actually makes a lot of sense, even in the main deck, because if you're trying to, you know, we'll see Basilis' choices in the main deck, but, you know, I'll say right now, I think there is a hand trap that I've been advocating in his main deck from what I saw before, so, like, the fact that you're running these one-card bangers in Nadir Servant matters a lot. We kind of see the players go back and forth here, and Basilis, this is the exact situation you want to be in. Like, he could go for a lock here, or he could go for a Lad or Mirror Jade play, whatever he really wants to at this point, with the fact that he has Rinbrum, Titanclad, and Albion. Now, the Albion is going to get banished off the Magnamut, though, which is really good for Roy, right? Like, that gives you a bestial into, like, a possible gimmick puppet or even a branded banishment, and it gets rid of the Albion just from getting, you know, it being the most important card in the graveyard for a branded player. And we are gonna then see the Baldrake come down as well, which is just kind of crazy too, I'm not gonna lie. The Baldrake being there on top of the Magnuma is kind of backbreaking for the branded player, but the fact that branded player does have Cartesia on board just makes him still in the game, depending on what is set and what his card in hand is. Let me go grab some water super quickly. All right. Thanks for waiting. And here we're gonna see. Yeah, I mean, Baldrake here is just kind of incredible too on top of this. Like, it's gonna. Basilis really has to have a lot here, or something very strong, like a fusion duplication, to kind of be able to play past this, in my opinion. And even then, the Baldrake kind of solves that, so we'll see what happens. We see a Druiswarm come out, which is like pretty, or sorry, gets searched in the end phase off the Magnamut, which is pretty interesting. Or it's pretty standard, rather, like, unless this was Tenpai, right? And then also the Fuwalos ends up, like, I mean, that's the thing, he got bestialed when he was on Fuwalos too, so, like, that Titanclad was going to be a neg anyway. So we're going to see the normal summon Lacrima. Roy goes to main phase, normal summon Lacrima. This is going to likely just end up sending the Engraver. It will go through. You know, in this type of situation, the branded player is really just looking in order to survive the turn and try to establish some crackback and maybe even trigger like a Quertus or a Grand Guignol into like an Albaz and somehow end on a Mirror Jade. That would be best case scenario because Mirror Jade really can mess up a Fiendsmith board.
Yeah, he don't have a lot of entraps, of course, and he has now to rely on his own field, but as we said, there is not a lot to offer from Vasily's side.
I think he used Cartesia. Yeah.
And then here we are going to just see the Cartesia effect to go off, which will just give us a Grand Guignol, obviously.
Even the Boldrick is a problem here. So
yeah, Grand Guignol in defense position. That will trigger on summon. Now, if Roy wants to Baldrake this, he could, but there's really no reason to. I mean, the Baldrake would get the Grand Guignol out of rotation. Like, if there was maybe a misplay by Roy, because he has no other cards in rotation, no cards in graveyard, I think there's no reason not to Baldrake this Grand Guignol, because elsewise, the Grand Guignol is going to trigger sometime on Roy's turn and become more of an issue. And he can actually interact with this Grand Guignol with the Baldrake rather than like the Quertus or something on the Baldrake, which would float into a Fallen of Albaz, which could get to a Mirror Jade, so. Do we know the branded list? No, we don't. We're going to have to go. We're examining this gameplay to get the list because the player isn't going to be releasing his list. From what I was told, so we are going to be from what it looks like, it is a 50 card. It's a 50 card list with some text in it. Like, it's very similar to like a 50 card list. It does have Nadir though, so that makes me maybe think it's like a 54 card list, but we'll have to see. Because that is a big deck. That is a big deck. That looks like at least probably 50 cards. So we're gonna see the Saronir get set off of the Grand Guignol for the Retribution, which is interesting because like this doesn't quite establish anything. Maybe that means Basilis has a Shrouded in hand, if anything, just so he's like, okay, if I survive, I can at least get to Branded Fusion here. So now we see Roy reading Grand Guignol. That's also one of like the benefits of bringing a deck like Branded, I feel like, to an event like this. Your opponents are going to be reading your cards. Like, you saw everybody reading Dinkabui's cards in the finals, you know, in all his feature matches, because people are like, Fire King cards? This was 2 formats ago. I didn't play 2 formats ago. I can't remember that. Did he really say his list won't be uploaded? Well, he wanted he wanted certain things for the deck profile, and I'm just like, I just wanted to feature the deck. So like, you know, hopefully someone ends up releasing it. But yeah, we're just gonna have to go through the gameplay. It would, but the Baldrake is currently nasty. More, how's it going? South Sun, The Wall, how's it going? Hey guys, how we doing? Did we enjoy the YCS? Yeah, no, the YCS was incredible. Fromix, Basilis, he got top 32, hell yeah. Also, what's up, GZ1K? Congrats on hitting 100K. What's up, Dali? Yeah, so we're gonna rewind this a little bit. So basically, in this board state, remember, Branded is cooked because he can make a Light Darkness Chaos Angel. The Branded player is going to be forced here to actually get rid of the Lacrima in any good world, but like he has no option to. So a Light Darkness Chaos Angel, I should have actually said this before it happened, so it doesn't look like I'm just retroactively saying that, but this is what you do versus like the Ryzeal mirror match, and Branded's very similar to Ryzeal, where it doesn't have an in engine out to Chaos Angel outside of Mirror Jade. You do have Mirror Jade, okay? You do have Mirror Jade. But Basilis kind of isn't getting to Mirror Jade anytime soon. I mean, it just depends, right? Especially if Roy's trying to end on a Dweller here. I think ending on like Light Dark plus Dweller plus Baldrake is actually definitely game in that scenario. But we do see the Droplet come down by Basilis, which is exactly what he needed to see to get rid of the Chaos Angel, which is interesting. He's going to do it to negate the Chaos Angel to dodge the banish on the Grand Guignol, presumably. He was either going to be banishing the Droplet or the Grand Guignol. Either way, he's gonna chain Droplet either target, you know. So we're gonna see that negate on the Chaos Angel. Also, well, he could negate on the Baldrake too. It could have been negate on Baldrake. How's it going, More? How's it going? I like 60 as well, but Grass being banned hurts a lot. Charging 60 for a profile. Yeah, I mean, I'm not someone who pays money for deck profiles. It's not. I've never had a pro player ask me for to pay them for a deck profile, let alone like present it in the terms of I will earn back the ad revenue plus. Like, this is not how I run my channel. Like, I'm trying to feature brand, like I'm trying to feature like the best players playing their favorite decks, essentially. That's what I like to do. It's a competitive based channel, so it's just something I'm good, like it's probably very similar to a list from 20, like I said, it looks very standard outside of some text. I think it just requires a good pilot, and obviously it was a very good pilot, so that's why we're watching this feature match. It's just unfortunate that we probably aren't going to get the deck list. It is interesting. I want to know if Basilis is on the banishment. We'll see. You know. I do think this is going to go into a game 2 here, though, because Basilis, I mean, having the Retribution in Graveyard is not, is definitely, is one of those cards that will help him a lot if Basilis isn't able to get into game. But he does have the Rinbrum plus Albaz in Graveyard, because if we remember, he did set that up at the very least, which seems like an oversight from Roy on some level, but the Light and Darkness Chaos Angel will definitely be able, I mean, yeah, this is actually going to look pretty good, because, right, if the Baldrake is negated here, which it has to be, summoning the Albaz into and then also, interesting. So I'm trying to see how this went. So because he has the Grand Guignol, so he could go into Grand Guignol. Yeah, okay. So he's chaining Rinbrum on the Grand Guignol trigger. So chainlink 2 Rinbrum to summon the Albaz, chainlink 1 Grand Guignol, which is really cool. And we see the Proskinion, which is the first tech that I wanted to show off from this list. So I think Proskinion is incredible into this format. It was a great choice by Basilis. It is a card that is a incredible super poly target into all of the decks right now, into Malice, because they end on a light dark, so you can go normal summon a Luber, dodge an Imperm, chain super poly, make a Proskinion, and revive their Obaku. Or you could do this against Ryzeal Mitsurugi, fuse off their Murakamo and their detonator, and then go Proskinion, steal the detonator effect, you have 2 pops, bam. Or just like steal the Chaos Angel, right? If it's only a dark or whatever. So I think Super Poly is actually low-key great with Proskinion, but he's just using it here as the Grand Guignol special summon out, which is actually going to be great, right? Because there's Magnemite in the graveyard, which gets Basilis the follow-up he needs. Do we have the list? We are not going to be getting that list, apparently. But we're gonna be going over the game card by card, so we're gonna try and make something of it here. He was on 2 feature matches, I do believe, though. Was he not? Or no, he was only on 1. So we're gonna see the Albaz effect trigger here. He's probably gonna get rid of the. Oh, he's getting rid of the Chaos Angel. So he did actually. This is interesting. So he went Droplet on the Chaos Angel. He had to have Dropleted the Baldrake then in that case. Like, am I just missing something, or else the Baldrake would have banished the Albaz by any means? But we do see the Mirror Jade, just because this is looking like exactly what Brandon needs to see in a situation like this. And then also he's going to be able to go into Proskinion to steal the freaking Chaos Angel to get a free banish. Oh, that's actually disgusting. That's actually disgusting. we're not sure if this is 60 card. We're gonna have to go through like and check them out when they're siding and stuff like that. So he is gonna go into the Roy is gonna chain the ball or the Druistorm that he did search in the end phase last turn to banish his own Chaos Angel. Like, that's so neg. But you know, and we still have the Mirror Jade banish, which does provide follow-up. And considering that the Baldrake or that the Chaos Angel is now gone, and we don't have any, you know, we don't have the Ryzeal combo in rotation yet. It's not looking that good for Roy. You know, if Roy had like 1 or 2 more cards, which he could have arguably let go through, depending, you know, instead of Bestialing the Titanclad, he could have gotten a draw off the Titanclad with the Fuwalos, but he does have I believe I saw another Bestial in hand, actually, so he's just basically playing Bestials at this point. He might have an Ice Ryzeal. Ice Ryzeal would be crazy here. Oh, he does summon the Ice Ryzeal, but he's using the Ice Ryzeal effect to avoid normal summoning it, to then trigger the Druistorm to send the Proskenion, which is then going to send the Proskenion, since that's now been toasted, that's already used its effect, and then we do see Baldrake plus Ice Ryzeal potentially being linked off here. No, we see the X Ryzeal come out into the Twin Eclipse. This is actually the 2 cards that Roy probably needed to see in this situation to have a fighting chance, honestly. The issue is that he's going to have to make a 3 Exceed play, and I'm not sure he has the gas for that. He has to be able to make the Detonator, but then he also has to be able to make the Abyss Dweller to get over the Mirror Jade effect. So, like, oh, he does have... Okay, no, he does have Cross. Yeah, Cross might just do it. Yeah, Cross does it. Cross does it. Yep. Forgot Cross was a card even for 2 seconds. So yeah, Cross is going to be able to negate the Mirror Jade. This is actually a really good situation for the Ryzeal player. However, you know, obviously the Mirror Jade does have the banish still. So, like, it's probably just fine, honestly, all things considered. Unless you're, yeah, so he's going to attach the Twin Eclipse, which is completely live. And let's see what happens here. So the Baldrake's going to go into attack position. We're going to see potentially a Detonator crash into the Mirror Jade and then detach. And then he's going to go Mirror Jade effect, and then he's going to cross the Mirror Jade by detaching off the Detonator. So now the Detonator only has the Eclipse Twins. However, that's going to be able to obviously reset the Detonator and give it 2 more pops. So that's not terrible. But the Baldrake 2 is a little awkward. He's going to be able to use that after he uses up his Detonator spins, or pops. But he does have the cross effect to spin back the node plus the Ice Ryzeal to the bottom of the deck and attempt to get a draw. A hand trap could be quite devastating in this situation. The game was going a little fast. I do have to double check if Basilis ended up sending anything off of Mirror Jade when he banished, or anything significant. Yeah, so we do have the High Spirits at the very least, and then it looks like we do have the Cartesia, and then we do have a Albion in the graveyard. Yeah, no, Abyss Dweller is going to be one... no, it looks like he... Okay. Interesting. Yeah. So now he's going to search off the Albion. Probably for the Branded Fusion, if I had to guess. Oh, he goes for the Branded Banishment. So he does run the Branded Banishment, which is going to be kind of crazy here. It doesn't get him into Lad, but this does give him a free Mirror Jade. And also a shout out to the chat, 120 people on the YouTube chat. So Basilis is going to draw for turn. He looks like he has High Spirits plus Cartesia, and then his top deck had to be significant, but the banishment might just put him in the driver's seat here because of the fact that the cross isn't going to be able to deal with both Mirror Jade's banish and the floating effect. Oh, he's going to go for the Quem. He revives the Quem to fuse off the Detonator into presumably a Quertus. Oh, that's crazy. And then that does get rid of... And that's a game for Basilis. Wow, that was done very well, honestly. I like that. I like that. Not gonna lie. Now, when we're looking at Basili's deck, that looks like 60 card. I'd say it's 50, between 50 and 60. It doesn't look double sleeved either, so like definitely on the thicker side, but.
And maybe this, shows also the reason why it's doing so well, because you are obviously preparing.
Yeah, no, that was very well done, honestly, considering the game state. Because if we look back at that, Basili's got hand trapped to death. Between the Fua and then like Bestial on Bestial, and then he still ended up turning that around, which shows you guys like Branded has a really good matchup into Ryzeal this format outside of Abyss Dweller. When Abyss Dweller is not being set up, and Fiendsmith Ryzeal doesn't have the best time getting to the Dweller.
Ryzeal threw at him.
It was unbelievable because, like, with Roy's hand, I mean, he was able to stop his opponent plays. He had to overextend, like, for the also with two Ryzeals.
Yeah, it was not enough. So
I mean, obviously, it's a deck that has been out for a lot, but has fallen off in popularity quite a bit. And maybe this, shows also the reason why it's doing so well. Because you are obviously preparing heavily for Ryzeal, Malice, and the top decks, but your opponent has probably tested against those, not quite against Branded. And I think this showed a little bit at the end of the game, because it probably still would have been.
And I think Basilis was also X2 at this point, and this was the last round before Top Cut.
Close, but given the end that was drawn by Roy, I don't know. I really think like that cross should have been saved for Albion, because without that banishment, I think we only had Cartesia, the Branded Eye Spirits, maybe not quite enough.
Yeah, so they're talking about how the cross should have been saved for Albion, but I'm honestly not too sure about that. I mean, yeah, if he didn't, I mean. But at the end of the day, as long like Basilis then gets back the high spirits plus the Cartesia, which gets him into Branded Fusion automatically plus a draw. So like he didn't like Roy. I don't blame him for crossing that. Like he didn't have any good situation. It was either wipe your board and put you on better OTK me, or cross the Mir J, keep a board, and deal with what Basili does.
Because it probably still would have been close.
Like if Basilis didn't run banishment, he would have went into like Branded Fusion or Branded White. And then he could have dealt with it like that. But then the banishment super poly effect really kind of, I mean, you should assume that they're on banishment if you know anything about Branded right now. But once again, it's not very,
But given the end that was drawn by Roy,
definitely looks like a 60 carder to me, says Dequan. Yeah, for sure.
I really
Roy searched Druisworm with Magnuma. He should have activated in the end phase for Rinbrum and Albaz. No, says Icarus Kick. Yeah, no, that was another really big misplay by Icarus. Because the Rinbrum ended up, I was very surprised about that. If Roy had ended up going Rinbrum essentially here, or sorry, when or Druisworm before, or when he goes, he could have waited that whole time. He actually could have just waited. He could have waited until he went Rinbrum effect, to do that, effectively just shutting off that whole play. Or he could have just went into the end phase. He could have waited until end phase, done it before he goes normal Lacrima. That's why I was kind of like surprised he went normal Lacrima. Like he should, yeah, definitely should have banished the Rinbrum and Albaz, but Roy just completely forgot about that, and the commentators mentioned that as well. So it was just like one of those situations.
Because without that banishment, I think we only had, Cartesia, the Branded Eye Spirits, maybe not quite enough to.
So yeah, then he could have crossed. Then he could have effectively crossed the Albion if he had banishment, because that would have getting that Mirror Jade. Like I said, once a Mirror Jade just takes a mile the moment it comes down. So.
Sometimes it's actually harder to win than when you draw, kind of an average hand, because you tend to relax a little bit. You probably are like, okay, I just won this game. I can do whatever I want, and
all of a sudden, poof.
And that's the beauty of Yu-Gi-Oh! Just a single move sometimes can cost you the duel. But hopefully, Roy, now that he's going first, will be able to keep his focus and make some Ryzeal combos. Our duelists are ready. Let's jump back into action.
All right, game 2. Let's get it. Let's get it. I mean, I think what Roy is going to be trying to do here is to go into Dweller. Dweller will effectively stop a 60 card build of Branded pretty well. You know, if you see a big stack of cards across from you, you should probably be asking your opponent how many cards in deck. So he should have a decent idea at this point. We do see the tract come down off the engraver for the Fabled Lurry. So that's going to be likely a quick Requiem right here, which is then going to, you know, Vasili's probably not running the Ash Blossom. We do know in his list, though, he is running Mulcharmy. I will say that. I did see that game later in the game, so we will talk about that. Or maybe I saw him shuffling. I forgot if it was game 1. But then he goes into the normal summon, or sorry, into special summon Lacrima off the Requiem, which will then send another engraver, not sending the Fiendsmith in Paradise. And we you know, keeping the Lacrima on board, likely gonna go for a Caesar here. Oh no, we have a normal summon Sword, which is interesting. So not the strongest start by the Ryzeal player, I won't lie, but obviously, it's still probably going to be enough now that he's linking off the Sword for the sequence plus the Lacrima. And yeah, no, he's just checking, I guess, because of course Sword does not lock on normal. The inherent summons really only lock on so we then see the sequence go off, and we'll spin back the Lurry plus the Requiem plus the engraver for the Desiree, which is interesting, going for the Desiree instead of the Caesar, but he might have a line to do the Caesar Desiree play. So we do see the Agnumde come down. We have not used Engraver and Graveyard, of course, plus the Requiem, so we do still have plays there. We do see the Lacrima come out, and get equipped to the Agnumde, Agnumde equipped to the Lacrima, and then we do see the X Ryzeal get special summoned in order to still get the search off the X Ryzeal, because X Ryzeal of course only gets the search when you have level 4s on board. Then we see the overlay of the X Ryzeal and the Lacrima into Duo Driver, since it's only 2 generic level 4s, so that's why those engines really just synergize so well with Ryzeal on summon effect to attach a Ryzeal in Graveyard, so that he has an extra negate with the Ryzeal cross he's about to presumably search off of the Sword. So we see the cross. We're probably also going to see a node, unless node is already in hand, which I believe I saw a node there. So yes, we do just search out the Sword, because of course we have not special summoned with Sword yet. We have not special summoned with Ice either. So we will go for the cross, and that cross will get us probably a nice draw. You know, Basili's for the branded player overall, like, we end up seeing, like, board breakers being quite effective into Ryzeal boards. So as long as Basili sees some of his board breakers, you know, as good of a board that Roy might make, like, it's gonna be probably just actually a fine situation, but we'll see.
And I think Royzen is quite good as well this time around. I mean,
yeah, it's an interesting start, I gotta say. Like, the sequence of plays that he has gone for is not really straightforward.
And Vasilis is just enjoying his time.
Oh, can you see a reason why he summoned the Detonator in defense?
Alright, so we see Detonator go into defense, which is pretty understandable, equipped with the Twins Eclipse as a overlay material, because this prevents Durastorm from crashing into Detonator and forcing interaction, essentially.
No.
Yeah, you see it from time to time. I guess Quirites could be one of them, because he turns it to 0. And
what's up, Angra Minu? Nice to see you. Is it Vasilis Kenny from South Park? I wish. South Sud, I'm just going to speculate the list. Definitely Super Poly, since Garura, Nadir, Droplet, maybe Thrust, and Eclipse. I actually don't think that Super Poly is guaranteed in a list like this, but I do think the Proskenion might lend to that direction, because I feel like it's too free not to run Super Poly with, like, a Proskenion and Garura in your deck. And then also Thrust has to be standard. I am curious what his other board breaker package is. We're gonna have to actually go through his list.
And then maybe
he's doing his best to conceal his cards. He knew what he was doing.
Masters, but I mean,
You're right.
Maybe.
And sixth card, is that a brand?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Lightning Storm. So we do see Lightning Storm first action. So for board breaking package, we see Lightning Storm. This is traditionally not the best board breaker in Branded because you do play Bestials, but it's probably just him admitting he's not running many Bestials. So it's one of the best board breakers when you don't already go Nib or establish a body, because obviously that's why a lot of people are running Haggard Lizardo, so you can clear your board and still play the game and use effects like Lightning Storm.
Always Duel.
Wow. That's a great card to start things off.
Well, Lightning Storm is a very good card, and here, okay, gets rid of, let's see, what was
Gets
it?
rid of
An
both.
impermanence.
It wasn't a judgment.
It was
Yeah.
an impermanence, but I think Vasily's hand is insane, because
yeah.
I think he has Branded Fusion plus Thrust,
Oh, he has Branded Fusion.
Oof.
plus, I think it's 4 spells. Okay,
I
deploy.
mean,
Deployment.
So we see Fusion deployment come down. That's pretty good.
I mean, obviously, Detonator works perfectly against, Albas. You can't really go for that line, but
So then we see the Requiem get chained, targeting the Lacrima gets special summoned out, or I guess this is yeah, no, Lacrima is triggering right now on Chainlink 2 to Fusion deployment. Then we see Chainlink 3 Branded opening.
I agree, it's fair.
and
This is a good play because on summon then for Aluber, he will be able to chain the Cartesia.
for the opening, Branded opening.
Yeah, because we chained the Lacrima and then we're gonna chain the opening, and yeah, the chain finally resolves. So let's see what he goes for. Could be just Cartesia then, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Makes sense. And now the good thing is obviously the opening is a layer of protection against the Detonator later on for the fusions.
I mean, Vasilis has everything. I wouldn't feel great if I were worried right now.
So in a new chain, let's see, we're gonna use the Aluber.
All right, so on the new chain, obviously Basilis is lining up his chain links. It's just gonna be a Luber chain link 1, and then we see chain link 2 Veiler come down,
The Veiler, yeah, I mean, I guess can work out kind.
which is like, okay, wow, Basilis also has Thrust plus Branded Fusion in hand.
Yeah, in this case it does, because even if you go for the Cartesia,
This is exactly the situation that Branded wants to be in, barring like a random Ash Blossom.
then they can Detonator. Well,
Yeah. He accepted it, I guess.
yeah, seems like he did, and then oh no.
Finally, he changed his mind, and as you mentioned right before, he's gonna chain the detonator, targeting the Cartesia.
We do see the Detonator chain target Cartesia, which is interesting.
By Roy, who finally gets to bring back this Desiree.
So will Basilis be able to fuse off with the Cartesia there, because he does have to. So Cartesia chainlink 3 to attempt to dodge the Veiler. Does Basilis have a play, or is there nothing there? I mean, Desiree will be there as well, but no, he does not, obviously, because Brand Fusion Thrust. But we do see the Thrust come down, trying to bait the Detonator, or sorry, the Desiree.
So the last card in hand, according to you, is a Branded Fusion.
Yeah.
So
It's game over at this point, right? Thrust into talents, look at hand, BF, GG.
Oh yeah, it is.
I wouldn't say so, because Desiree's still there. You know, Basilis had to invest a lot of cards into getting this. You know, Cartesia being popped like that is really shitty for him, honestly.
we're gonna see it, because we do negate the Thrust, and then
And
we
then-
have the last card being the Branded Fusion.
It's gonna be heartbreaking right
Wow.
now. This is the Branded Fusion, and he's laughing.
Yeah, you can see Roy laughing. What a hand.
He didn't expect this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
And they're both smiling, and Roy knows that, I mean, nothing that he
So
can
then we see the Branded Fusion come down, of course, with 60 card Branded. You always end up drawing the Branded Fusion. It's always my favorite thing. My favorite reaction to see my opponent be like, "Oh, you drew the Branded Fusion."
The difference maker was really the lightning storm.
So no Ash Blossom either. So we're gonna see the Albion come down. Interesting play to summon the Albion, then send, but...
To break this field.
Yeah, but he has the tools.
Oh, we do see the Super Poly there. There were Super Polys, so we can actually examine the deck right here a little bit. All right, so let's see what we got here. I see Super Poly right there.
Yeah,
I do see. Oh, thanks for subscribing, Kurodi. I appreciate it.
but he has
Um,
so now
I think I saw a Dark Ruler. I could be wrong. I see Lubellion there, obviously,
and the Lubellion.
and then Albion is going to trigger.
Yeah, this is huge. Wow.
So, yeah, I guess the board-breaking package is Lightning Storm, Triple Tactics Thrust with a Talents, and then Super Poly. Also, there is a spicy card in the side deck that we'll see. And then we see the Detonator actually detached to pop the Albion.
Goes for the detonator. As we have mentioned, there is the opening
In the grave.
Yeah, which can protect the fusions if he wants, but he must be thinking whether he needs that layer of protection afterwards.
Also, guys, 100 people in stream, make sure to leave a like if you have not already. I know 50% of you are not subscribed either. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're on the road to 10,000 subscribers. We do daily streams, videos, Yu-Gi-Oh content. I really would appreciate it. Leave a like. Let's do a like goal of 60 likes on this stream. And yeah, guys, I appreciate it. Let's get into more gameplay.
You don't really care too much.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Detonator doesn't accomplish too much right there.
You were definitely spot on.
So, I mean, the Albion is going to be popped, which is fine. It just cuts off the Lubellion line. However, now he will be able to banish. He's debating on banishing the Albion straight up here, probably for the Mirror Jade, because he has no cards in hand, right? So a lot of the time, branded players just have to end up banishing their Albion that they summon if they have no cards in hand in order to establish the Mirror Jade, which is not actually that good. So actually, this Detonator pop might have been a misplay, because he was going to have to banish the Albion anyway.
Game, or maybe have put it in a really good spot. But now, here is the Mirror Jade.
And now we see the Mirror Jade come down, which, you know, we do have the Desiree to take care of at least the banish of that.
I mean, it is shiny.
Yeah, Zephy, there is no point in popping that Albion.
Okay.
Now he's going to go Mirror Jade, destroy the Detonator since it is in defense position. And now he gets to go Twin Eclipse, right?
I think from Roy, who forgo the protection effect in order to then trigger the Eclipse. Yep.
So then Detonator will be able to summon itself and then attach another one. He's now, but on chain link 2, Vasilis is going to chain the Mirror Jade to banish.
We can prevent it.
Thanks for subscribing, Star Foxness. I appreciate it.
And we do. We chain the Mirror Jade.
Sending the Titan Clad.
And he's going to send the Titanclad, which is pretty understandable. It's always, like I said, the best send really off of Mirror Jade or High Spirits.
Obviously, because we are in the damage step still. Yeah.
True that.
So we gotta wait at least for it to resolve, and then we are gonna be able to use it. Yeah. Yep.
So we see the Detonator get chained here on the Mirror Jade to presumably pop the Mirror Jade.
Can chain, and it seems like he targeted the Mirror Jade, which can be protected.
By the opening in the graveyard.
But he does have opening, which, so he will use opening on resolution of chain.
Will be done right now by Vasilis.
And now the Detonator will get banished, because opening does not start a chain, so you can't just chain Detonator.
Use the detonator, but that's not,
You don't
activated
declare
effect,
that,
exactly.
yeah.
So not quite possible. All right, now it's quite a simplified game state,
And now,
He's got the Beast Magnet.
oh, the Magnamut comes down, though. That Magnamut might just save the day, because that stops all of his follow-up. And of course, Fiendsmith just has so much follow-up.
I mean, you have these kind of cards in Yu-Gi-Oh!
just built into the engine itself.
Whatever. They are one-off or like the two-offs.
And you keep seeing them.
Yeah, and they really seem like a 10-off, which are always there. That is the case for this Magnamut.
Because in this specific matchup, Magnamut is
It's absolutely amazing. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So then we're going to see him basically get the Cartesia back from graveyard since a card did hit the graveyard. So Cartesia still can trigger, fun fact. Even if there isn't a fusion in the end phase, as long as Cartesia was in the graveyard while one hit the graveyard, it reminds itself that it could be added back to hand. So it's a really good grind game fact. We see Strike in the main deck of the Fiendsmith player, understandable. We see a Baldrake come out, and honestly, with the Desiree sticking, it's going to be pretty easy, in my opinion, for the Fiendsmith player to clear this board. You can just link off the Desiree effect, spin back the Mirror Jade, you know, or send the Mirror Jade, and obviously Mirror Jade's going to trigger, but, like, he can get OTK in. So it looks like we're going to be seeing a game 3 here.
He's gonna start his turn by summoning the Sword Ryziel. And there is no answer from Vasily's side. Of course, the Mirror Jade has already been activated during the past turn, so he's not gonna be able to activate it this turn.
Yeah.
So we see the Desiree equip both Sequence and Ignumde now, which brings the Desiree up to a whopping 5,700, I want to say offhand, I believe. And then we just see the special summon of the X Ryziel here to just send the Eclipse Twins, or sorry, the Aggregator. Imagine if he had another Eclipse Twins there, because then Eclipse Twins would be able to just revive the Duo driver and give him a free search. So that is a, you know, a little tidbit for... It probably shows that Roy is only on one Eclipse Twin, or Twin Eclipse, or yeah, Eclipse Twin. So we do see the Dugaris come out, presumably for 2, and we see the branded player just scoop at that point for a game 3. So let's see if we can see anything about their decks.
It's definitely an interesting decision. I feel like if you know...
Unlucky Lucci, how's it going? Wait, wasn't Opening's protection effect illegal there? Why would it be illegal? Also, Star Foxness, you're welcome. You've been such a great resource in learning branded. Thank you for all you do. Well, thank you for the kind words, Star Foxness. I appreciate it. Also, guys, if you want to help support the channel, click the join button today. We got great memberships and stuff like that. You could use your Twitch Prime sub, all that fun stuff. Leave a like on the stream if you want to help support the channel. If we hit 60 likes, how about that? If we end up hitting if we end up hitting 60 likes, we will roast some deck lists too, because we still have a backlog that we still have to roast from last time. So yeah, guys.
And right after his opponent had such a great hand, this branded fusion, last card in hand, activating that, and the laugh on the face of Roy, but after that, he managed...
You can use both effects in the same turn. Yes, it's not like branded retribution. You can use both the graveyard effect of opening and on field.
To just get the victory. Now it's gonna be a decisive game, because they cannot lose if they want to go to the top cut. So right now, we're gonna have the branded player probably gonna be in the driver's seat, because he's gonna go first. He has a lot of tools to take the victory.
Is there a way to see Vasily's deck yet? I don't believe so. I don't know if we're gonna be getting it according to like, yeah, I just don't think we're gonna be getting the deck list, unfortunately. Hopefully we do, but I don't think we will be. That's why we're here. We're going to be seeing some interesting sides here. We should see basically all of his non-engine at this point. Like I mentioned, there's actually some text you guys will see this game 3, so make sure to stick around. This game 3 does show off Vasily's, I'd say, the most spicy parts of his deck.
From all over the world. Only one of them can advance though. So as they are finalizing their decks, let's find out who will be the...
South Sun, I like to call branded opening Baylinks personally. Yeah, that's understandable.
Here they are, and around 8.5 minutes remain.
And remember, the branded combos can take a while. So if he manages to just set a Masquerade on the field, then Roy might be in...
All right, so we see branded opening branded
His
and red
team
in hand.
Just set a masquerade on the field. Then
Plus an Albaz, and then I think there might be a thrust and another kind of spell in the
Roy
rotation. I'm
might
trying
be
to see if that's like an
in a
allure. We'll
really
see.
difficult,
That might be an allure of darkness right there.
spot. So
And we open just like in game 1 with this spirits. Is there gonna be?
Yep, so we're going to see the high spirits get pitched for the Albaz. He does send the Titanclad this time. Probably going to go for either a Cartesia or the kit if he has no other access. So yeah, no, he has Cartesia, so he probably has a branded opening in rotation, or at least a way to an Aluber. We do see the Cartesia. Yeah, so we do see the branded opening, interestingly enough, before Cartesia hits the board. Or no, okay, so Cartesia will hit the board here, so he does like doing this Chain Link 1 Aluber. And we do see the branded opening. I guess he's just playing fast. So we do see the branded opening come out now. Will it be met with an Ash Blossom is the question. No Ash Blossom on the branded fusion. That is exactly what they like to see, obviously. It's a pretty solid hand, says Devin Reeves. I completely agree. Nice to see you, brother. Yeah. High Spirits plus opening is probably the strongest hand branded can really have in terms of a 2-card. It's technically a 4-card combo, but it's really just 2 cards and then you have 2 discards, right?
Everything just feels so much smoother, and yeah. I guess we'll have the first check for a beat.
So we see the Albion come out now off the branded fusion, sending the Lubellion, the true bread and butter. We might actually see a Lad line here.
Potentially, if we want to preventively eat.
He is banishing the Titanclad plus the Albaz. My man wants to save the cards in hand. He says he does not want to discard anything. He wants to keep those spells, and he's going to go straight up into the Mirror Jade. This is actually something I've been doing lately on Master Duel and been trying to tell you guys. This is something that you can kind of do at the end of the day. If you need to use the fusion you sent off of High Spirits as material, and then you still get to Quem somehow, it's fine, right?
There is a thing from Roy. No.
And now we tribute over the Albion
This is so great.
for the Lubellion, which... You know, this is the nib angle, so do we see a nib right here? No, we see a imperm on summon. That's okay. I was going to say that's the other thing. Nib would have been insane, though. I mean, it wouldn't have been that insane, but it would have been, you know, something. And then, oh, we see the nib on the Cartesia. Okay, so that's pretty good. So this is also where people get wrong against, like, I always see people like chain nib at the wrong time. You chain nib like this guy did to Cartesia, because then he won't be able to the Cartesia fusion will fizzle.
Never mind. Wow. Impermanence plus Nibiru.
that is a huge one. How is Vasilis gonna react to that? What a game, pulling up the Nibiru in this decisive moment.
I mean, obviously the Mirror Jade will be able to get rid of the Nibiru,
Gonna end up in the graveyard.
but at least he did get into the High Spirits play. Last card in hand, Nadir Servant. Oh my lord. This is what I'm talking about. I think Nadir might just be the best replacement for Branded Fusion, because what other card can you go last card in hand and win the game off of it through multiple hand traps? Like, there's cards on one, you can count on one hand in Branded. Nadir Servant, Grass Looks Greener, and Branded Fusion itself.
It looked cool.
Okay, fair enough. I don't ask the question.
This is the combo.
I mean,
Impermanence plus Nibiru.
impermanence plus Nibiru.
Yeah, like, honestly, the nib did not matter because of the Nadir elsewise. Basilis was ending not on much, to be honest, but the fact it was Nadir Servant really goes to show this card is still one of the strongest one-card starters in Branded.
Everything in this
This is why I show off so many Nadir combos on my spreadsheet, because it is just, it's a card you should be running on sub-level in Branded, whether it's in the main or side deck, with or without Maximus.
specific case.
just prevent everything,
I mean,
so.
you could just Nibiru, but okay, we'll do it. I mean, it is true that you cannot impermanence anymore once Nibiru is there, but I don't know. Whatever. Not asking.
What's up, Jambuds VO? Nice to see you. Nice to see you.
Questions, but
Not the nib, says King Cuz.
if there is one card to, you know.
Why not chain Mirror Jade and bash your own Luber and send something? Because he had the Nadir, right? If he didn't have Nadir, I think that would have been something to do there for sure, Zephy. But because he has Nadir, he doesn't want to probably turbocharge his extra deck. He already has the Titanclad in Graveyard. So what is he sending off of Maximus, right? Like Albion plus Renbrum. What would he send off of the Mirror Jade at that point? You're just getting rid of your resources at that point, kind of thing.
Stay in this.
And also putting a Luber in the graveyard is an interruption as well, right?
It was for sure the Nadir, so that's a great.
Especially in a time situation with 5 minutes on the clock, having an Aluber to go into defense position in battle phase is huge.
Find from Vasilis.
So we see the Grura draw also happen. So I'm curious what Basilis got off the draw. I already kind of know. It's kind of broken, so we'll see.
And this token has some pretty heavyweight competition.
So he's going to send, yeah, exactly. So he's going to send the Grand Guignol plus the Renbrum. So yeah, there was absolutely no point going Mirror Jade.
Maybe it will be gone soon. Let's see.
It feels pretty good to have a card to send on Maximus, I think. The DSRA.
Yeah, if he ran Lulu would have been a really good target too, Jambuds VO I was mentioning before, but
pretty much it. So
alright, so we see a full graveyard between the Grand Guignol, the Renbrum, the Mirror Jade, and then also Albion, and then we should have a Titanclad, or no, the Titanclad is banished, so Titanclad is no longer in rotation for the Quem, which might hurt. But once again, he's on a simplified board state. This branded player has 3 cards in hand, so like, if Basilis is able to establish like a Mirror Jade or a Lock, or even somehow a Light and Darkness Dragon Lord, he wins the game.
Half minutes remain, and all we have,
or at least he gets to a point where he can Masquerade his opponent, right? Like, which is why Masquerade is so important, I think, in this deck.
Very important there because it might get on the nerves of both players. I think.
So we see Basilis set the branded banishment super quickly.
You have to stay focused on the time, of course, and you know that you don't have the right to do any mistake. So now, almost 4 minutes on the clock.
Yeah, it's tough. Is it banishment again? I
think it took the banishment.
Okay.
Also, guys, after this game, I'm down to... We're going to be talking more about the deck list that he ran, and then we're going to go over the other YCS feature match from Orlando, if you guys want to, with Dapper Despia. So if you guys want to see that, please leave a like down below on the stream. We'll do more YCS branded coverage that way. And then we'll go into Master Duel branded. Yeah, let me know down in the comments if you guys want to see Master Duel, or just we'll do another YCS branded feature match after this. All right, so he is going to end up setting the branded banishment with an unknown set right there. It's whatever he drew off the Exceed Encore, or sorry, off of the Garura. Oh boy, I got ahead of myself. Freudian slip, guys.
And now he passes his turn to Roy, and he doesn't have any Masquerade on the board. The field.
Also, what's up, 8 viewers on Twitch? How's it going? Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, not quite. So technically, there is a chance that this also ends in a draw.
Maybe the case.
So currently we're at AK with 3 minutes on the clock. Basilis is probably going to try to just have him establish a body, revive something, make a Masquerade, because remember, a Looper is in graveyard. This is the only way he could get to Masquerade in this situation. So, like, you know, him, if he banished that Aluber, he would be losing the game right now.
I think it's alright result.
Oh, you know what? There's a side card which we haven't considered, though.
Oh, yeah, right.
We do see the Engraver come down.
Yeah.
Which you would think is great in this situation, but like it's not conducive to time. Like these cards aren't quite helping him. So he has to go through his Fiendsmith combo in these 3 minutes, and obviously, you know, we see the Lurie come out now. We are going to see the Grand Guignol trigger as well, which is understandable. That he did send off of the, you know, off of the Maximus. And then we see the Quem come out, which will be able to trigger once he goes into Requiem, which is always an amazing thing to do once they go into Lurie to banish the Grand Guignol in order to do that. We see the Quem then send the branded Retribution right there. from the deck to the graveyard for follow-up, since Branded Fusion is in the graveyard still. And then he's able to go into Rinbrum targeting the Albaz here. So he's not even going to give him the opportunity to actually even summon a monster, because he probably wants to go into the Masquerade, if I had to presume. So then we see the Albion, 1, Quem 2, chain blocking the Albion from something like a Ghost Spell into summoning out the Cartesia. Oh, Cartesia can just get the Masquerade on its own. And then Albion will just establish like a Mirror Jade. So then we see the Dogmatica Maximus get banished with the Quem into the Masquerade. So now we do have the Masquerade. And with 1 minute to go, this makes a lot of sense, to be honest, because this puts on Roy on better, like, play the game, essentially. So then we see the X-Ryzeal get summoned, sending the Aggregator, and he is going to then probably go Chainlink 1, X Chainlink 2 Aggregator to target the Masquerade, which this will do enough damage to at least put Basilis in a winning position with 1 minute to go. Which is definitely what you want to see. This is why, like, unfortunately, like, Branded has, you know, for better or for worse for players, because I think Masquerade's one of the best time options in the game. It's one of the easiest to make fusions in the whole deck, and it really, in these grind games we're getting into with Malice and Ryzeal, it really is incredible. I would not be leaving home without that in your Branded deck. So we do see the normal summon Ice now being able to go off with a minute left on board. You know, it's going to be basically impossible for Roy to actually do damage at this point unless he has a Gaga Cowboy. So if Roy has the Cowboy, he is going to be actually looking pretty good here. But if he doesn't have the Cowboy, like, it really just depends, because Basili still has actually, like, back row on back row. So we do see the Engraver. Yeah, Basili's is kind of just in the most winning position he could be at this point.
There is a banishment set. We don't know the other set. But we have just entered battle phase. So
oh, we're going into battle phase now. Interesting.
He's not playing impermanence as well, so there's no impermanence.
5 seconds remain, so now it's all or never. We are gonna have a whole main phase 2. So
I mean, honestly, Agnumde, if he had a play into Fiendsmith stuff without the Masquerade, he could have went for Piercing, but obviously that just wasn't a play. And here with, you know, Roy down by 600, if he does have the Gaga, he could make it here.
He should force out some negations first, if there is a way that he loses. Because I think the banishment cannot bring back Aluber. He could bring back only like a Despia or a Fusion.
Yeah.
Was the Masquerade mained or sided in this deck, I wonder? Yeah, I have no clue.
Yeah.
I'd presume sided, but I don't mind it in the main in a format with Malice.
Cannot bring back that. So it's tough, because to fusion someone with Cowboy, you need the Albas. So
he's going to try to protect his line.
He's going into duo drive here.
What about what was the name? Proskinion. His Proskinion, no, it's light and dark. But no.
So they are in time at this point. This is main 2. We see the Xyz Encore hit the board.
Oh, wow.
Okay, Xyz Encore is exactly what I wanted. Also, thanks for subscribing, Smoldering Wreck. I appreciate it. So yeah, this is the tech I was alluding to. This was the spice of this list, right? This was a very standard 60 card branded list, but he did run Xyz Encore. And also, I do believe he does have Mulcharmies, whether it is in the main or side deck. I did see Mulcharmy at some point.
Do we have another way to get to a level 4? Roy is kind of shaking his head, but he does have another ice.
However, this could get to Gaga.
Was that needed?
However, the banishment just gets rid of it here, right? Exactly.
Yeah, I think he has a plan here, 100%. Yeah. Oh, yeah, he does have it.
Oh yeah, he could just revive the Mirror Jade and then banish the Gaga.
That's a perfect plan. Wow.
Sending the Lubellion and getting rid of the... Wow, that's game for Branded.
He's gonna banish the Cowboy and take the victory right there with his...
GG's Branded. That was actually very well played. Like, You know, we probably aren't going to get this deck list, but, you know, very, very well played by the pilot in mind. And it's great to see Branded top 32 a YCS. This is a tough format. You know, I think Branded is actually incredible outside of its matchup into Malice. So, the fact he wasn't really running any Malice goo in the main, it seems like, and then I presume his side deck might have been more curtailed for that matchup, or he didn't either see that many Malice. I'm very interested.
Branded deck. What?
So what we're looking at is a 60 card list. We had Proskinion also in the side deck. I also did spot Mulcharmy at some point in the main deck, so I do want to point that out when we're going into Nadir's Servant here, because he goes into Nadir and then this gets answered, or this does not get answered.
Great card, Nadir's Servant, which allows you to do so much in this deck.
And then,
like,
so let's see. Yeah, there's a Mulcharmy Fuwalos right there. So Mulcharmy Fuwalos was being mained, which this is a card I've been highly advocating in Branded. So like, if you're not running Mulcharmy Fuwalos in the main in Branded, you auto lose versus certain matchups. Unfortunately, I do think you need Mulcharmy Fuwalos in the main deck of Branded to compete against like things like Mermal and Malice. Like, that is, so it makes sense to me that he actually went the distance, because at least the Fuwalos gives him an opportunity to go second into these FTK decks. Also obviously we did see the Xyz Encore, which was very cool to see. The Xyz Encore is something where it stops the Dweller, and in a 60 card build, I feel like that's super important. It also just picks apart the detonator, right? Like, you can't quite run the Metal Tronus in this deck to an effect that other decks can. So you, at the end of the day, having a quick play thing that's not Droplet. He's not running Droplet like we said before. We saw the Super Poly. We saw the Super Polys. We saw the Thrust. So like, his board breaker package is very curtailed around like going into like Lightning Storm, Super Poly. I think Super Poly would be probably in the main deck, and then Lightning Storm in the side deck. He did have the Masquerade as well. So it's cool to see like a 50 to 60 card build. I would be a little surprised if this was 60 card Branded. I don't see like between like the build he had, it looked like he was only on one Quem with how he was playing very carefully around his one Quem. So like, I do think that at the end of the day, that means that it's probably a 50 card build, a 54 card build if I had to guess. I do think 54 cards is kind of one of those, it's a number that works really well with Branded. Thanks for subscribing, Nick Dane and Josh Brown. I appreciate it.
It wasn't a judgment.
So yeah, that was the list, right? Or that was the gameplay. Shout out to Basilis. Hopefully we can go over the deck list at some point if it gets released. But for right now, we are going to go into day one of Orlando and go over the other Branded feature match. How about that? Because if you were not aware, YCS Orlando happened